All right, so it's July, and what does that mean? We had our Budgets and Beers date night, which means it's our quarterly date night where we get together and we look at all of our finances and see where we've been making progress and what do we need to continue working on. It's just a little reminder for ourselves to keep doing this great work and to actually see the progress that we've made and to celebrate a little bit with some beers, right? And so let's dive in and let's see what our Budgets and Beers date night looks like and why you should start tracking it, because I promise when we started out, it wasn't pretty and it gets a lot more fun. Before we get started, go ahead and subscribe and like my page to hear about all things millennial money related to help you live your best life. Okay, so what is Budgets and Beers? It's a date night that Derek and I sit down, we relax, we have a couple beverages, and we just see the progress that we've made in the last 3 months. It's basically, if we wanted to simplify it, us calculating our net worth, but we want to see how much money is in each of our accounts, if we have any debt, how much debt we have, and what are some of the goals that we have long term and where we're at reaching those goals. And so net worth, like I said, is just the very beginning to see all of your assets minus all of your debts, and that is equal your net worth, in case you didn't know. And so assets are things like money in your checking account, your savings account, investments you have in a 401k or a Roth, all that sort of stuff. You can also include your home equity, and then your debts are going to be credit card balances that you have, student loans, personal loans, the debt that you have on your mortgage. And so when those kind of balance out, then you see how much money you're actually worth on a piece of paper. And so take it with a grain of salt. It's not your self-worth. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person if it's not very high. When Derek and I started out, ours was actually very negative, and I mean, that's normal. We were young. I had a shit ton of student loans. He had a car payment. I just finished paying off my car, but I didn't have that much money in my 401k to balance out my student loan payments or my student loan debt. And so we were in the hole, but that was just a marker for us to start with. And so that's what I want to encourage all of you to do, is use that as momentum to do better and to better your finances, right? It doesn't mean that you're not great or you're bad at your money or you're a horrible person. It just means that, okay, this is where I am, but you can actually track this is where I want to be. And so, like I said, we started out negative. We're now positive. The date night that we had, that we went from that negative to positive number, was so much fun because while we were celebrating, our net worth was like $1,000. It was a huge step in a direction that we never really fathomed we would make. And so don't get too caught up on your actual net worth, but just use it as a benchmark to see where you're at in reaching your goals. And this is also a time that we use to make sure that our sinking funds, the money that we save every single month to go towards our larger goals, are on track. What weddings do we have coming up? And do we have any money saved for them, or do we need to start saving money? How far away are we from big events like Christmas or vacations? And how is our saving going towards those things? Was there anything that came up in the last 3 months that totally threw us for a loop, or that we were unprepared for? Maybe we had to dip into our emergency savings fund, and do we need to start bumping that up a little bit more? So just a general check-in with yourself and your partner to make sure that you're on the same page and that you're making progress towards your goals. Okay, on top of your net worth, you can also track your portfolio and how well you're doing in those areas. These are your investments, your stocks, your 401k, your Roth, and all of those areas you can see which stocks or individual accounts have been doing better and which ones have been doing worse. How much money have I put into those accounts versus how much has the market, have I gained in the market? How much did my employer give me in the last 3 months if you have a match? And while this is also a little bit more advanced and I don't want you to get too stuck on those numbers, it's also just something that's good to keep your eye on, because it's good to know where your money is, how it's doing, and what accounts are performing well for you. But again, this is a little bit more of like the phase 2 advanced level. If you haven't started a budget yet, you're not investing, or you don't invest very much, or you have a lot of debt, let's focus on the budgeting and the getting our finances under control first before we worry too much about the portfolio investments and how well those are doing. As far as which tools you should use to track this information, there are a bunch of free spreadsheets out there, and you can even just create your own. A simple calculator online or an Excel spreadsheet that lists all of your assets and all of your debts. And then again, you take your assets minus your debts, that'll equal your net worth. Simple calculations and formulas can get you there, and it'll just be a simple way for you to keep track of your milestones. So prime example is Derek and I will look back, okay, 6 months ago, where were we at with our net worth and our total debts? 1 year ago, where were we at? 2 years ago, where were we at? And we were able to actually see our progress and the momentum that we've had as we've paid off debts and as we've built wealth. And none of that would be possible without tracking these numbers and actually seeing them firsthand, because you can see how well you're doing or how poor you're doing that you need to improve on, right? And when we start tracking those numbers, we're able to see it in real life, and we're able to get that momentum to actually make progress towards our goals. Oh my God, okay, looking back. My net worth was originally negative $29,000 when we first started, which is better than I thought it would be. I don't know if that's a good thing. And it took us 1 year to get positive, and then we had a positive $3,000 net worth, and that's partially because of my paying off my $46,000 in 20 months. That's what helped us a ton get to that positive net worth, because we no longer had student loan debt, right? And then from there, it just exponentially gets higher and higher, because that money that you're making towards your debts, that $500 a month on student loans, that $300 a month on car payments, all of that can be invested and going back into your 401k, into a Roth account, plus the interest that you're saving that you used to have to pay on those debts. And so once you are able to pay off that debt, you're gonna see your net worth kind of skyrocket. And that's a really exciting point, because that's where you're truly building wealth. And compound interest is your friend with this. And basically what that means is, instead of just $50 that you owed, now you owe $65 because you didn't pay your bill in time. So now you have $15 interest. And then next month you actually owe interest on that $65 instead of that original $50. And so it kind of compounds. When you have it in your favor, compound interest works where you have $1,000 in your bank account or your investment account, you earn $30, and so you have $1,030, and then you earn interest on that, so you have $1,080, and it keeps going up and up and up, and you get to a point where it just like skyrockets, because it's like, boo, like you did a great job, and now your interest is making more money on your money than you could ever even save, right? And that's the goal. And a lot of us aren't there yet. I'm definitely not there yet. I'm still putting in money into my accounts to make it grow. But that's why we track this on the spreadsheet, is so that we can see, okay, where are we making progress? Where can we do a little bit better? And are we on track to reach our goals? Another thing that you can track is actually your FIRE number. This is your financial independence retire early number. And while it's a little bit more advanced and you definitely want to get out of debt first, it's good to know about it, because once you know about it, you're going to want it in your life, and it'll give you a little bit of a boost in momentum to actually get there. And what it is it's the number that you need to reach to be able to have basically absolute freedom with choosing your job. And so there's different types of FIRE movements. You can have like a barista FIRE movement, I believe it's called, where you're still working part-time, but then you're living mostly off of your investments. And you can have a complete FIRE, complete FI, where you're 100% not working and you're just living off your retirement. But basically that number is 4%. You want to be able to live off of 4% of your investments. And so you have to figure out what 4% is of this larger number and ask yourself, can I live off of that number? So look at your net worth right now and see what 4% of that is. It's probably very, very, very low. And that means that you can't retire yet. And we're all in that same boat. But once you get to that multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars, million plus, and 4% is maybe $80,000 a year, you can maybe live off of $80,000 a year. And that's my goal. I don't want to completely retire at a super young age. I'd be really bored, honestly, but I definitely wouldn't mind working like 20 hours a week or 15 hours a week, doing something that I loved and just living off of my nest egg in the meantime. So that's another thing that I add to my tracker, my spreadsheet, to see at what point I'm going to possibly reach that 4% marker and what age I'll be, so that I have another little thing to look forward to. Okay, so another thing that we track is what percent we are to our retirement date. And so that's basically like we have a number that we want to reach for retirement, and that's based off the 4% rule of you can live off of 4% of your investments. And just to show that compound interest, 1 month we are at 1.69% of our goal, and then the next quarter we are at 2.4% to our goal, and then it goes from like 3.1% to our goal to 5% to 7% to 9%, and so it jumps up exponentially because again, that snowball of that compound interest just reaching or saving in your account, and your it's just making money on the money that you already have. And so it grows so much more quickly versus in the beginning it's like 2%, 2.4%, 2.9%, and then it gets to the 5%, 9%, and it jumps a lot more quickly. And so that it's just fun to keep track so that you can see again how close you are, and also realize that there's a reason why we're doing this. There's a bigger vision to budgeting and to tracking some of our spending, and even if you're not tracking your expenses, you're at least tracking you need X amount of money invested every single month or every single quarter, so that you're at least reaching your goals on that end. And again, the whole point of budgets and beers isn't to like figure out what your net worth is and try to figure out your retirement date, and all that stuff is fun, and it is actually really exciting once you get better with your finances to figure out those numbers. But it's about freedom and flexibility for your life. When you have a positive net worth and you actually are paying down your debts, you have more flexibility with your choices. You're able to take a job that you maybe make less money, or you're able to move to a part of the country that is a little bit more expensive. But those things aren't possible if we are stuck in debt, we have no net worth, and we're not able to use our finances as a resource and a tool. Instead, it's just drowning us and it's pulling us down. And so that is why you want to get better with your finances, and that's why you want to figure out your net worth and track your debts and have these quarterly budgets and beer dates. It's because you want choices and you deserve the very best. All right, so that is a little bit about our budgets and beers date. Every quarter on the dot, grab your friend, grab your partner, whoever you share money with, or whoever you want to normalize money conversations with, and just start tracking your net worth and track how much money you have, all of your assets, track your debts, and use that as a tool and momentum to change your life. Because once you get a handle on your finances, you can start making decisions that are better for you versus making decisions that are just doable with the money situation that you're in, right? So go out, have fun, create your spreadsheet, and let me know how you're doing.